Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kocharya's first webinar of 2025. A very happy new year to all of you who are joining us for this webinar. This is the first webinar, as I said, for 2025. All of you who are joining us, do let us know where you're joining us from. Drop us a line in the chat box. So before we start, I would just like to take a couple of minutes to introduce Kocharya for those of you who are new here. Kocharya is a leadership development and coach training company. We have coach training programs running all year round, and you can choose whichever program fits your schedule the best. And so in that same spirit, I will just take a few moments to introduce the programs that we have coming up. And after that, we are going to introduce the panelists for this particular webinar. So first up, we have a level 1 ICF level 1 ACC program happening on the 21st of January with Tracy Brown and Richa Chadha. This program will prepare you for the level 1 or the ACC credentialing for the ICF. We have an ICF level 2 PCC program happening with Cindy Muthukarapan. As you all know, Cindy is part of the Kocharya faculty, and some of you might have seen her on the Kocharya webinars. Now, this particular program, which is happening on the 30th of January, will prepare you for the PCC credential. It is also a program which is focused on executive coaching. So those of you who might be interested in exploring executive coaching further in your career, this will be the program for you. We have an ICF level 1 ACC program happening with Drevan Days on the 2nd of February. This again will prepare learners for the ACC credential. In a short while, I'll be leaving all the links in the chat box, and you can, it will redirect you to all the program information. You can go and check the programs out. There is an in-person program happening on the 14th of February with Ram, who is here in the webinar today, and Revan. Both of them will be leading this program in person in Bengaluru, India. There is a virtual program on the same date, 14th February, but this will be a virtual program which you can join from wherever you are in the world. This is an ICF level 1 program, ACC, with Shiva Subramaniam and Anshu Bhargava. There is an ICF level 3 MCC program happening with Cindy on the 17th of February. And you must not miss Kocharya's mega ACTC program with 6 trainers, which is happening on the 18th of February. Now, some of you may know, but just to inform you, this ACTC program will prepare you to apply for the ICF Advanced Credential in Team Coaching, the ACTC credential. I'll be leaving a link in the chat box as to why, what sets team coaching apart. There is an ICF level 1 ACC program happening on the 22nd of February with Smita Raghu, and an ICF level 2 PCC program with Ujjwal Buch on the 28th of February. Again, this program will prepare you for the level 2 credential. There is an ICF level 2 PCC program happening with Drevan, 2nd March, an ICF level 1 ACC program with Richa Chadha and Fiona Gomes Bhattacharya on the 7th of March. An ICF level 1 ACC with Ujjwal Buch on 8th March. And lastly, an ICF level 2 PCC program happening with Cindy Muthukarapan and Tracy Brown on the 28th of March. So all of these programs, the reason why we have these programs at different times is whatever fits your schedule the best, you can enroll for that particular program. And with that, I am going to hand over the reins to Ram, who will be introducing us to this particular webinar. Thank you.
This particular program that we have organized this year is new. Gayatri Krishnamurthy, she's from our very first batch of Kocharya cohort way back in 2012. She has been a PCC for all these years. I don't know why she is still a PCC, hasn't become an MCC yet. I'm sufficiently unskilled in motivating her to move into that space. She has been very active in the ICF space. She has done which is a fantastic achievement in India, where we are very poor at documenting anything, researching anything at all. She's a person who has started doing serious work in terms of researching, documenting, and publishing these as research reports. And one of the reasons that we wanted her to be part of this program is to initiate a series of webinars on spiritual intelligence, on which we held a conference for which there was a great amount of response. And if through this we are able to gather material, both from the participants and the speakers, on specific topics that she will be curating through the year, we could use it as an excellent medium for publishing such research reports as well. And so we would like all the participants as well, after having gone through today, to be giving us a feedback in terms of what is it about this program that resonated for you, what other kinds of programs that you would like to have us address themes as. So today we have two speakers. The second speaker is yet to join, Irina.
Yeah, she's trying to join and she said she's logged in but not getting admitted. So we'll just get her in.
Yeah. But if she can join as a participant, then we can.
That is what I have asked her to do.
For her,
yeah.
Irina Ghose, and then. So
right.
let's introduce. I don't. I'm not that familiar with Varsha. We are meeting for the first time on the screen, but I saw her bio is extraordinarily impressive. Rishi Valley, which is probably one of the most respected schools, in my opinion, in India. And after that, you went to Boston, right? Yeah, and did photojournalism and worked in several spaces. And now she runs a NGO called, what is it called? Virtual Frisbee? Is that what it is?
It's the NGO.
It's called One All.
And the sport is called Ultimate Frisbee.
Ultimate Frisbee. So I'm sure we'll learn more about what Ultimate Frisbee does and how it helps us, helps the youth. The reason why people like Varsha are extremely important to us, not just Kocharya, but all coaches, is I think ultimately everything that we do has to be for the next generation. And there are many out here, and Kocharya Foundation particularly addresses this particular space of underprivileged children and disenfranchised women who are marginalized in our community, in our society, all over the world, but especially in India. And anything that we can do to help them, we must. And this is a credo as far as Kocharya is concerned. And so you will find probably Varsha featuring again here often, and perhaps other people similar to Varsha coming here again. And I'm extraordinarily grateful to Gayatri for bringing Varsha here today. And soon you would be joined by Irina. Irina is the managing director of Microsoft, with 20 years of experience or more than that in Microsoft alone, and more in the technology area. So Gayatri, I hand it over to you. I don't want to stand between you and your two speakers.
So,
Thank you.
So thanks a lot. Ram has already introduced me very generously. So apart from whatever Ram has talked about Varsha, one of the reasons she's there in our inaugural program is at a very young age, she found a purpose. Somewhere in her 20s, she's decided that she'll be starting an NGO in a place called Gudalur, a totally urban, bred and brought up, and then having gone to Boston. And in between, with her photojournalism and all that, she was also in the crew for Mani Ratnam's film. And that was a few years ago, but yes, she's been there, done that, and now kind of found a purpose. So welcome, Varsha. And we are waiting for Irina. We're trying to sort out what is happening. So let me introduce her, and I'll just take a pause to see why she is not able to join in. Okay, so Irina, apart from being the MD of Microsoft, etc., also has found the time to do a lot of other things. One of them is she's got this NGO called My Little Bit, which helps women, young women, to further their education. She also finds the time to run marathons and is one of the most generous persons that I have met. And somehow, this business and social impact joining together is something that she is good at. I'm going to ask Varsha to start talking while I, figure out what difficulty Irina is having in joining us. So, Varsha, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what triggered you into doing whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, and thank you, Mr. Ram, for the kind introduction. When Gayatri asked me if I would like to be on this panel, and she told me what this was going to be about, I honestly had to look up what spiritual intelligence meant. And because spirituality and intelligence are words that come with a lot of baggage, and it means a lot of different things to different people. I will give you a little bit of background about myself, and then go into the connection between spiritual intelligence, what I learned about spiritual intelligence, and what we are doing at One All right now. Ultimate Frisbee, the sport, is what has motivated me to start doing the work that I do. And the sport itself is the only mixed gendered and self-refereed sport in the world. And what that means is people of all genders play together on the same team, and each person on the field has the onus on themselves to be their own referees and referee everybody else on the field. And it has been mentioned here that my background is in photojournalism, and I've always been drawn to telling people stories. I really enjoyed the work that I was doing, but at that time, my heart was not in the stories that I was telling. And that was around the time when I started playing the sport in 2012. And the community that I found through the sport, the rules of the game ensured that the community strived to be more understanding of others. And the largely mixed gender format really tried to ensure inclusivity. And this was when I realized that people of all ages, all backgrounds, regardless of social, economic, religious, or any other backgrounds that they might have, can play together as equals on the field. And it really made me long for a world where we can treat each other with respect, communicate respectfully, and create something that is more equitable for everybody involved. And it was around the time that I was having these realizations where I went on to document the first officially selected under 23 team that represented the country at the World Championships of Ultimate Frisbee in London. And the stories that I found, the stories of strength, bringing together young people from different states, speaking 9 different languages, all different backgrounds, coming together just because of the joy of the sport, really made me want to tell more and more of these stories. And it was around then that I realized that I'm in a place of privilege in life where I can create these opportunities for other young people and not just search for these stories. And that was when 4 of us friends decided to start One All in 2016. And Gayatri is right, I was 29 at that time. And I read a little bit about what Mr. Ram has written about spiritual intelligence. And in our work, apart from the sport, we talk about controllables and uncontrollables, and truly understanding the purpose of those we interact with, and not just look at them as vessels of achieving an end. Being really present in the now and paying attention to what people are saying and where they are coming from. And it made me realize that we're all in a quest for collective well-being, and though we have different terms that we put to it, that we're all in this together.
Thanks a lot, Varsha. Young age, but very wise voice. Welcome, Irina. I've already told them that you run a marathon, you run an NGO, and you're the MD of Microsoft. I haven't told them that you're also involved in the Microsoft for Startups and Sonder Connect, which helps women entrepreneurs. And of course, not enough time to talk about everything that you do. So I would like, we have introduced this, not much about it. Can you talk a little bit more about your journey and what makes you so connected with the social purpose?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Gayatri. It was amazing listening to everything that you do, Varsha, at a very young age, driven, very purpose-led. Um, and I think the ethos with which you talked was very inspiring for a lot of us to kind of also feel that how we connect ourselves to everything which is going around. Honor to be here with you, Mr. Ramanathan, as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. Gayatri, to the question you were asking, alongside my professional journey, one of the things that I always have been looking at is how do you give back what you've got in life? I come from a family of educators. Both my parents and generations earlier have also been in the education field. And one of the things that we always knew was education is the best leveler for anybody. So that's a currency which my mother, she was a refugee from Bangladesh. She kind of made a lot of difference to herself, who she was and how she kind of grew up, not just for herself, but for people whom she brought along with. My father, coming from a rural setting in Kolkata, and then he kind of becoming one of the scientists in his own might and right. So having known that, I grew up in UP and Bihar, and girls out there were not having a right on the table, a right to do things that they were wishing and wanting to do. But I think the family values taught me as to how education can really give you that voice and the ability to play on a global arena. And that's something that I held very close to my heart. And in 2015, in 2010, that's about 15 years back, I had done about 10 years in Microsoft at that point of time. So I was leading the education vertical, and that gave me the opportunity to travel to more than 15 states in the country, interact with a lot of students. And with that, I kind of thought that, I mean, why not ensure that I kind of bridge what I'm doing professionally with what I want to do personally? And I started my foundation, My Little Bit, which kind of went across towards a lot of things in the education sphere for the underprivileged girls. And I think the reason I've continued, grown with it is because not just what I do for them, but what it does to me. And somewhere in that journey, I also took a lot of passion to being a coach. And that again made me understand about others and understand who I am. So those were like pieces which were connecting the dots. And at the end of the day, whenever people kind of ask me that, are you doing this to make a difference to others? I said, at the bigger picture, it makes me a lot more humane, makes me a lot more grounded. And I believe in myself for what people make me believe in what I do for them, Gayatri.
Yeah, and I was looking at your NGO website, and it said, think big, act bigger, and you're living proof of that, Irina, because I know you've inspired so many of us to run a life marathon. May not be physically, but look at life long term. And I think that is one aspect of this spiritual intelligence, that you're not looking at instant gratification, but impact at a larger scale. So let me get to Varsha. So obviously, I have some idea about your family, etc., but I don't think others do. So what were the pros and cons when you decided that you will do this full time? Because there must have been some suggestions, some objections. So what were the pros and cons that made you decide to go whole hog into this foundation? And I have had enough experience knowing that, right now Varsha is the busiest amongst all of us, because the NGO founders who work full time work really hard. It's much more difficult to get Varsha's time than Irina's. I'm sorry, Irina, but she's traveling and working so hard. So just a glimpse into what were the pros and cons, and how did you weigh them?
Varsha, if you will excuse me, both Irina and Varsha, please don't call me Mr. Ramanathan, just call me Ram. because I am old enough already. I don't want to feel older. If possible, I would like to feel younger. So, just as a mention, yeah, please go ahead. I'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Um, Thanks, Gayatri, for that question. I think the first thing that I would like to acknowledge is my family's support, and that was the biggest pro that was there on my court in deciding to start this organization. Because I think when I realized that I want to do this, and they saw how crazy I was about the sport and what it was really giving me, that they supported everything that I was doing. My mom, my aunt, and my grandmother have been the backbone of everything I've done till now. And the support was unconditional, even when we wanted to start One All. And I didn't really see a con in starting One All at that time, because I was in such a place in life where I was really searching for purpose and meaning. And I felt like this was it. And I still feel like this is it. And I'll tell you a little bit about why that was. As I was playing the sport of ultimate, and I know it sounds a bit crazy in this day and age to say that I found a sport in my adult life that, at 28, 27, I got a chance to be part of the India team. And what other sport would actually let you do that? And the reason behind why I think I'm so crazy about this is there is ultimate frisbee, as I said, is a self-refereed sport, and so we have a whole set of rules and things that are defined that every player has to follow. And I'm quoting from the rules of ultimate frisbee here, where it says highly competitive play is encouraged but should never sacrifice the mutual respect between players, adherence to the agreed upon rules of the game, player safety, or the basic joy of play. I just want to invite everyone here to really think about what this means. Highly competitive play is encouraged. Do whatever you can to be the best. But there's always a but. It should never sacrifice the mutual respect that we have for each other. We need a base of respect if we want to live in a society and get the most of it for everybody. For each other as human beings, what else is there other than treating each other as equals? And of course, we need to know what the rules are, because if we don't have rules, then how can we function as a society? That is the foundation that we have. And taking care of each other, that's what safety, like thinking about safety of others means. And the basic joy of play, that's what's really beautiful about this rule that I'm drawn to it each and every time. And I've spoken about this in so many places. This basic joy is what we all really want in life. And as individuals, as a society, it's what we chase every day and night. And that's why I'm really crazy about this idea. And people think I'm actually mad when I say that, if everybody started playing Ultimate, then we'd live in a much better world. But these are things that I take to life. And I really believe that each person who plays the sport, each young person who plays the sport, in all the places that we have seen, have taken this to heart, internalized it, and are slowly implementing this in their own lives. And seeing the results of that is just mind-blowing at such a young age, where conventional education systems don't really teach us what this actually means. Things like, thinking about emotions and feelings and differentiating between actions that we take versus emotions that we feel, and putting others' safety before our own joy. So these were all amazing pros that I had, and I've learned to talk about this over years. I didn't know what it meant at the time. I just knew that there was something that is really pulling me to this. But yeah, this is my story in a
So
nutshell.
I have a question, Varsha. So we
Sure.
all played gilli danda, kabaddi, and all, and enjoyed it. The moment it went competitive, the scene changed. So give us an example of this alignment of competitiveness and respect.
Yeah.
Just
So
any one instance, because it's great, and I think we have it in school level and all. But the moment other aspects of commercialism enter, this seems to take a beat.
definitely, commercialism and capitalism are things that the negatives in my mind outweigh the positives, because it's what we see is done before us. So even in other professional sports like football and any other sport that you take, the best of the players we're seeing on TV are the ones that people are trying to follow on the field, on the ground here as well. And
Yes.
with Ultimate Frisbee, we have this concept called the spirit of the game, and a spirit score, which is
Wow.
the concept is the spirit of the game, and you take that one level further, where even at the highest level of competition at the world championship level, a team can win a match or a tournament according to points, and can also win according to spirit. And what that means is, at the end of every match, a team rates themselves as well as the other team on 5 defined aspects of spirit, which is rules, knowledge, and use, fouls and body contact, communication, respect, and positive attitude and self-control, from 0 to 4. So this is literally putting a number to how we have behaved on the field. And at the end of the tournament, you have an average point that you get as a team based on your spirit, as well as based on your ranking as a team and how they have done. So this really helps you think what your performance is, and what you have seen and what others have seen and experienced, and how that can actually come closer together.
Yeah, thanks, Varsha. A lot of corporate lessons. Let me come to you, Irina. So you are in a commercial world, compared to this kind of thing. So you have shareholders of Microsoft. There are other pressures. How do you align your purpose with the different pressures from these different roles that you have?
Yeah, great question. And thank you so much for asking that, Gayatri. I just relate to a few things. At a very broad level, the first message that I want to give is that, number one, you need to have a purpose which is driving you for anything that you want to do. And that purpose, when I think about what I do in my corporate world, very early in my career, one of the things that I kind of used to resonate was with the fact which Microsoft has a philosophy that use Microsoft as a platform for furthering what your personal passion is and bring it to life by playing it to the ecosystem around you. So if you're able to kind of find that fine balance, it's great. And a lot of us are able to find that, and we are able to thrive in the context of that. So that's the purpose that we are able to fulfill for ourselves, and even the mission which Microsoft has, which is to empower every person and every organization in the planet to achieve more. And one of the things that Satya kind of calls out, that if you want to join Microsoft, you shouldn't join because you want to look cool, but because you want to make others look cool. So what you're enabling others through the potential of what the organization has to offer. At the core of everything is that purpose. And when I draw an analogy to what I do in my little bit also as the foundation, it's actually to make these girls know what their options and choices and what they can be and what they can dream towards in life. Most of them have not had any role models. Most of them have seen their mothers being house helps. Most of them think that the job that they will be doing will be a factory worker or being married, not have an option of what they can do. I'll give you a small story here. One of the things, so we do a lot of things. We set up digital labs for girls to learn computers, special classes for girls for in 10th standard for science and maths, because that is weak, scholarships for higher education, opportunities for jobs, etc. Now, one of them was when we were doing a special class for girls in the 10th standard. And we do it for a select cohort because you cannot make a difference when you teach everybody. So we used to like cull it out, and there was this cohort of 15 girls. Now, we do periodic checks with the parents. So in our periodic check at the parents teachers, the science teacher told me that there was this girl who was really doing very well and amongst the toppers, but she stopped coming for the special classes for the last 5-6 weeks. And they tried to cajole, coax, do anything, but the father was not letting them come. And the parents teachers meeting was there, and they had reached out and had asked that, is he coming? They told me he's coming. The meeting started. All the parents was there. I kept on watching. That kid and the father didn't turn up. So the meeting ended. It was about 2 hours. Then I came out and I asked the girls that, does anybody know this girl's house? So one of the girls said that, yeah, I do. So I asked the science teacher and then my partner, because I cannot speak in Kannada. So I said that, why don't we go there? We didn't know what to look out for. Of course, I mean, there's also that little bit of a scare. You're just going uninvited. But we just took the car and we went across to the house. We knocked. And it was actually not one of those mud houses. It was a house of bricks. And we could hear from outside that there was a TV running. So the woman came out and opened, who was the child's mother, the kid's mother. And the father was actually watching television. So we entered, and he was, of course, very hassled seeing us. We just introduced ourselves. And we then said that, I mean, we had this thing and we just wanted to meet you. And of course, I mean, he said that, yeah. And I could see that on top of the TV was his picture in a factory setting. And he was proud to display it there. So we asked him about the background. He said that I've put my son, who's studying law in this college in Malleshwaram, he's in a boarding thing. Then we said that your daughter is actually doing very well. Why don't you encourage her to come for the evening classes? And he said that, no, it's very late. We said, no, there are other girls going, they can help you, etc. So we did that. He gave us some fruity or something. I think he just wanted to appease us or whatever. So we took that as an opportunity to say that, yes, please continue sending. We just told the curriculum. I said that, I mean, she can do such things, etc. if she kind of goes through this. And then he promised to send us. After that, she started attending. Then after that, the pre-board examinations was happening. And then suddenly we get a call from the school saying that, call from the partner with whom I went. She called me saying that this girl had gone to the police station and reported an incident that the father is not letting her get up in the morning and study, and she will not do well. And after that, she came to the school. She was very scared to get back to her home. And she said, I've done this. So immediately my partner, she went there and she kind of went along with her to her father and kind of appeased her. But she said that, no, I want to do my best. And it was the fact that somebody had her back when we went there, gave her the courage to go and report this across to police and say that I need help. Okay, all done, etc. She came out with flying colors. She did a 93%. And after that, she decided she's not going to stay there. She went to Mysore. She joined the PU. She came out with a 94% and joined laterally with a foreign engineering course. And then she entered a job. The reason I tell this story, she wouldn't have done this had she, A, not known that there are people who can stand behind her. And second, just by that single visit, she is not only done things for herself, but she's inspired her entire school about what the power of courage can do for everybody else. So I just think that all of us, I mean, a lot of times people ask me that, how are you able to balance things? I just kind of say that all of us always have this yearning to do these small things. Varsha, you're doing such fabulous things by instilling the spirit of balancing things about your personal passion, ambition, and giving back. I think that little bit, even that 5-10% or even 2%, we shouldn't save it that after I finished my full corporate circle, I will find that out, time out, resource out, energy out. We can do it alongside whatever we are doing. Things that Gayatri, yourself, Ram, all of y'all are kind of instilling as coaches. I think all of us are born coaches for what we can do. Maybe we just need to find the right calling and just make it happen for ourselves.
Yes, such an inspiring story, Irina. I'm going to come back to Varsha because I think Of course, you are also facing a lot of issues, etc. But Varsha works from Gobloor and with Adivasis. So just want you to share some of the challenges and how do you look forward? What is the way forward for you? I know you're going across India and many other places and working with other communities also. Just tell us about your challenges in the sense, of course, getting money is always difficult. I know we gave Irina a check of just 2,000 and she was so thrilled. And we were like, what is this? Because the charity matters so much to her. So if I give her a gift, she's not happy. If I give a charity something, she's very happy. And we will be putting the charity details in the chat and send it to you. Okay? So Varsha, over to you, because I know you face family problems like Irina has talked about, but also a lot of political pressures. So just take us through some of the challenges and what do you see going forward?
Sure. Um, So to first understand how to do this work, after we started One All, we realized very early on that both of us, my co-founder and I, are outsiders to any underserved community that we are working with. So it is really difficult for us, even though we understand, empathize, and see what everybody is going through. The relationships that we build will have to be from scratch, and we'll have to overcome a lot in order to be able to bridge those gaps. So, what we do as an organization is first to hire facilitators from the place that we're working in. So in Chennai, all our facilitators are from same or similar backgrounds to the communities that we're working with there, which is the fishing communities. And in Gudlur, where I live and work, we work with the Adivasi communities, and I have a team of incredible 10 amazing young people from the community there who are really motivated to do this work. And the kind of challenges that we're seeing, if it was only us as outsiders, we would have seen things in a very different way. But from to have people from within the community express the issues that they're facing, we've realized that there is so much discrimination that these communities have faced, that they're always living in two worlds. One where they're trying to figure out how to take forward their traditional knowledge, their culture, and their practices from their ancestors, and go forward in this ever-changing modern life around them, where they're having friends, as you know, they have non-tribal friends, they're wearing clothes that are different, they're going into mainstream education, first and second generation school goers in their families. And to hear them talk about uh, things like, you know, language, something as simple as language in a school, where we feel that our state governments are, I mean, they are doing an amazing job by teaching in Tamil and Malayalam in the place that we are, but these people have even older languages that they're struggling to express themselves in a new language, where we feel like you know, there is this, they're not able to cross that bridge, and it's all coming from a place of wanting to do both what is there in today's world as well as what they've been entrusted to do by their elders. And for me, in all of this, the biggest hurdle I feel is trying to add a different perspective as an outsider, but also respecting what is happening there and allowing that inclusive space for the team to decide what is good for them and the community. And what this translates to directly in the work is a lot of discussions, a lot of opinions that are shared, and a lot of really listening in the now. And this takes a lot of time, and impact in this kind of work is deep work, and it's very, very long term. So to keep everybody motivated enough to see the long term effects is something that is very, very hard. And of course, trying to explain all of this to potential donors is a whole different story, and that's a whole different Pandora's box that I don't want to open right now. Um, and I feel like in trying to overcome these challenges, what has changed in me is that I'm able to take uncertainty with a lot more positivity, and to see where this can go and how we can work together with people to make this happen.
Um, Thanks a lot, Varsha. Let me get back to you, Irina. Of course, Varsha is kind of embodying the spiritual intelligence, but I want to ask you about how do you balance the present day, like for example, Microsoft is a listed company, so quarter tak pressures are there, and looking long term and having that spiritual core. How have you navigated that?
Thanks for asking that, Gayatri. And I must say that this session, the timing of it was so opportune because periodically I just try to always ensure that I'm resetting myself, and I block time and do things for that. So, for example, currently I'm reading that book, the Sadhguru's book, which is on on the inner engineering, and three things which stand out in that is about this living in the present, and he kind of calls about the fact that true transformation begins with living fully in the present, and it's everything to do with the thoughts, action, and surroundings. If you're living in the past or in the future, you will have regrets or anxieties. So what's the way that you live more vividly and joyfully by living in the present? That's one headline. The second part that he calls about is everything to do with the inner energy and awareness, and it kind of calls out to treat your inner self and the inner energy through a lot of self-awareness and mindfulness. And whether you do things about practicing mindfulness or meditation, but basically, how do you stay grounded in the present and aligning your mind? And the third part, which I kind of took away from the book about the spiritual core values, which are everything to do with towards compassion, contentment, and self-awareness. Now, drawing a parallel of this to how I kind of put things across in my perspective is um, in the scope of what I do say for my little bit. It's a lot to kind of make those girls also feel confident about themselves. And once you're living the life through their journey, they are literally not seeing that, I mean, an impoverished life, not having the hope of what will be coming across. But they are all grounded about the fact that, yes, there's positive energy for a better future, right? And these are girls who've kind of made it to business analysts in startups, who've kind of made across towards program managers in TCSs and Accentures. And even, I mean, there was one girl who was very, very passionate about psychology. She's a part of the police wing and doing these counseling sessions for the inmates. And that is what gives her passions, and that's what she thrives in. From the very first batch, the topper, who was from a Reddy Pugh college, she's been with us and she's our oldest computer teacher. And from being one of those demure, petite girls, now the way she kind of wields confidence and makes the class run around is nothing short of amazing. So, I mean, when you see the transformation journey of these people, that kind of resonates towards how you instilling that inner eye within, because all that we were doing is kind of telling them that this is what you have. I was a same person sitting in a similar place, possibly in a different city, but I had somebody who took a bet on me, and we are taking a bet on you. And one thing that now we've done in the age of technology, AI, and everything, we are also leveraging that. So one initiative that we've just started is called Seekhna Seekh in Hindi. It means learn to learn. And what we are just telling the girls is that you need to learn a set of micro skills to be relevant to somebody who wants to take you. So whether it's doing that micro blogging, or it's learning a small nugget of digital marketing, or GST and filing, learn these specialized skills, learn to learn. We are not teaching them. You have to know what to learn, and we are giving them all these curated courses so that they can put in their resume, I know how to, I know I can do this, I can do this. So this spirit of I can, and they're wanting to put in a lot of these I cans in their resume, is what we are teaching them. So coming back to your question, that how am I kind of stitching the stories of living in the present and having a core values? I think being really grounded about what's happening in the present right now, and instilling that feeling of the person whom I'm interacting with, to know that they have the potential and what they can do in the future. And I just think that at the end of the day, stitching and threading these stories together is the practical wisdom that coaches here bring across, is about ensuring that people know about how to see themselves, because the potential within is very different, and you can just be what you want to do, or who you want to be, and bringing yourself towards what you want to do.
Thanks a lot. I'm going to open up. There are questions in the chat box, and one of them is for both you and Varsha. So let me ask you, Irina, first. What drives you? I know Monday morning you write things, and I'm like, Monday morning, who has that energy to write a blog every week? So something drives you for sure. And what is your measure of success?
I'll answer the second one first. Measure of success is an interesting question, because first, the only thing that I kind of believe is that I have to be a better version of myself. That's the only thing. So, and it's not a race. So one philosophy that I keep on saying and propagating is that there is no race. You just win. And you just win against the bar that you set for yourself and the bar that you're setting for your tomorrow. So that's, in a nutshell, my measure of success. And what drives me is that I don't regret. There are things that have come across, there are things that have happened, there are things that have not happened. Things that have not happened, possibly it was not meant to be. Move across, because there's something more which is kind of waiting for you. So it's the feeling of no regret. Of course, I mean, there are mistakes that I make and lessons that I learn, but I won't have a regret because I learned a lesson. And so that's what kind of keeps me going.
So same question to Varsha. Of course, you talked a little bit about what drives you. What is your measure of success?
I'll talk first about what drives me a little bit more.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
I resonate with what Irina says also, and it's these stories of transformations that really puts a smile on my face and makes me want to get up and do this work every day. We've had such incredible young people. One of our young girls was pregnant at 16, and now she's 19 with a 3-year-old, and she's continuing our fellowship program. And for her to be able to do that is again what Irina talked about, is to have someone who's taken a bet on them and given them the opportunity to showcase what they are about, and they just blossom. And it's incredible when you see the kind of person she is on the field, and when she is teaching children, that she's not just a teenage pregnant statistic. And it's like we have young people from rural India who are young women who are mothers and who are fighting at home to be able to work in sport. For a 36-year-old to be able to do that and convince her family that this is okay in our patriarchal society today is just incredible. And to have something as small as young girls fighting for rights in public transport, saying that, no, I was here first, and asking why, like this question of asking why. If you're not being given ration in a ration shop, just ask why. And that is something that we keep encouraging our young people to go on to question everything and to ask for their own rights. So to see all this happening it's just the most satisfying thing. And a measure of success for me would definitely be if one all can run on in a sustainable fashion, not just in terms of fundraising, but even in terms of the team and how they are able to take it forward, because all our team are first and second generation school goers and college goers in their family. And it's constantly that we are trying to upskill them to be able to run this organization and make it truly community owned. And that would definitely be a measure of success. And one of my personal dreams is that one of our kids goes to the Olympics on an India team for ultimate frisbee, and then
awesome.
that would be incredible.
Yeah. Harish has a question for you. Why did you choose to operate from Gudlur? Did you have any connection, or how did it happen?
So I did have a connection with Gudlur, such that during school we had my now husband, then friend, his parents who started the work, the civil society work in Gudlur with land rights in the 1980s. And I've known since my 9th standard about the Adivasi community there and the struggles that they face. So when we first started with the fishing communities in Chennai, we were on the lookout for communities that wanted to engage with youth in such a way, and in an inclusive way through alternative methods. And that's when we approached the Adivasi communities in Gutlur and asked them if they would like to have this as part of the work that is happening with the Adivasi Munnetra Sangam. And they were delighted, and they really wanted to be on board with this because they felt like the unity amongst the young people in the tribes there is slowly breaking up. And this was a great way they saw to bring the tribes together again. And hence Gudlur.
Okay, great. Any other questions? And I think Vishesh had raised his hand, but there were no questions. And a couple of others have also raised their hands. So can you just type in your question? And I know we have Harish with us, Harish Devarajan, and I'm only mentioning him because there was this session in the Evoke Your Spiritual Intelligence conference on November 30th, and he had interviewed 3 similar passionate people, and we were all in tears because the amount of work and impact that one can make is so much, you know. And of course, what is the connection to spiritual intelligence? We've done a little survey, and spiritual intelligence, people had written adjectives which implies spiritual intelligence, and the top word was self-awareness and awareness, you know. And as coaches, since we hope we can create self-awareness for both our coaches and ourselves, I think there is a big connection between coaching and spiritual intelligence. Okay. So Mustafa has a question. How can you, I know you're sharing your stories and inspiring, but how can you inspire more people to do similar things like this? I'm going to ask you first, Varsha, and then ask Irina about, you know, of course, we will splash your story even more, but how would you do that?
I think sharing stories is one of the most powerful way to inspire action. And my purpose is not to inspire others to do this work, but to really share what is happening through this work, because I changed the path that I was on because of the story that I was telling at that time. And I feel like all stories have that power to do that in anybody, as long as it resonates with someone.
Right. Irina?
Yeah, I think being authentic and always ensuring that you're closing the loop and connecting back with like-minded people who've kind of invested in you to make a difference to the others. That keeps the cycle going, increases the confidence, and it just becomes a circle. And I mean, I've had people who've been with us ever since the first day that we kind of started this, friends, family, larger circle, everybody, and they kind of keep on investing in us year on year on year on year, for 2 reasons, I guess. The first one, I think they want to do the same, and in the absence or the inability to do it by themselves, they live it through doing it with us. And second, anything that we do, we always make it a point to kind of tell the stories back to the people who've been with us in the journey. And they live that. It's what we call a helper's high. People get a high doing various kinds of things.
Yes.
I have my most satisfied days, and the highest amount of joy is when I'm kind of seeing these girls make a difference and spending the time with them. I think it's that way that they remain connected with us. That's how we tell this, make the journey happen.
Yeah. And another question which has come out is, see, obviously, one fine day you took that step to start your NGO. So what was the first foundation thing that you had to do? Where did, you know, how did you start? Because, you know, we are all some bit of charity, something we do, but this is a big step, right? So what made you start?
For me, what happened is it had been running in my head for a long time that I have to kind of do this. So I used to go across to schools, just enter a lot of these government schools and see what's happening. Can I do something? Can I do something? Then one fine day, I unfortunately lost one very, very close and dear friend. And I was wanting to think as to how can I keep her things alive. And one of the things that she had said was while she just realized that she'll not live for too long, is that do something meaningful with my money. And I just felt that it's not just her. A lot of others also want to kind of do that, but when they have time. And I was having time in my hand, whatever. I mean, I just said that let me take the plunge and do it. And it wasn't easy. I mean, at lot after that, I had kids who were growing along with me. There were pressures, I was traveling, etc. But I think it's that spirit that whenever you want to do something, you will find my husband will kind of come in, my friends will kind of come in, and the motion kept on going. It's that the universe conspires to make it happen. The motion just kind of started and it never stopped.
Right. And Varsha, what was that one? The day you started, what was the event like?
I think it was this time when we had a series of extremely long conversations, the four of us who were involved in starting One All, and realizing over those series of conversations that this is what is exciting. And it was scratching that itch that I had at that time of really wanting to do more. And I don't know what that more was at that time, but it was there and it was constantly just gnawing at me, that this is not enough. I need to, this is not satisfying. I need to do more. I need to say, there are so many better stories out there to tell. And why am I just waiting and looking and searching for these stories to happen? So I think that realization, and once we decided to start, the first thing that we did was to come together and put our minds together to create a curriculum for everything that we wanted to do. My co-founder is Japanese and very, very organized, and I love the way she works. And so we crystallized everything that we had in terms of an idea and put it down on paper and actually would see it flow. And that was the catalyst.
Then let me go to Rajesh. Rajesh also is a journey similar to Irina because he's basically been in the corporate sector for long, but now is very closely associated with an NGO. Rajesh?
Hey, thanks, Gayatri. Hi, Irina, Varsha, fantastic. There are lots of intersections with Irina, right? One, both are from XLR. I was in Microsoft 2010, around the same time you were in public sector. I moved after the Unlimited Potential Group. Sunil and I are, we keep speaking about you, Sunil PP, right? And right now I work in the space of education for girl children in bringing, even 2 hours back, I was making a proposal for IT education for girl children, 1,500 girls, right? So a lot of similarities there. So definitely I'll not take this forum more than I'll connect with you. What you said was so fantastic. At the end of it, I started off from the very beginning when you said in understanding others, we understand ourselves. And I think that's what is happening in the nonprofit sector every day, right? When you work with the slums of Govind, I represent an organization called Katha, modern, after a good corporate life, volunteered for 4 years, and the board said, why don't you take over as full-time executive director? Same place, of course. Sunil is also on the board of Katha, by the way, right? So fantastic. I think we should connect. There are a lot of things we can do, and both of you and just connecting, we work with the same thing of making free, fair, and fearless. If children feel free and it's fair and it's fearless, I think we have done a little bit. That's the glitter in the eyes that we work on. I'll connect with you, Irina. And
Surely.
Varsha, want connect with you again. I don't want to take too much time. We work with Adivasis and Dalits and Irulars in Tiruvallur with the fisher community. right? There we empower. In Govindpuri in Delhi, we do LSSRW, literacy to literature in the slum areas. But in Adivasi and there's so much of knowledge that they have, right? And the question is, we should valorize knowledge over literacy.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of literacy, I think we are losing a lot of indigenous knowledge. And that's what is astounding, right? I mean, it's this, we work with about 1,000 children out in Tiruvallur district, Minjur block, right? And we'll work together. The idea is work with children to build via stories, and with stories get them interested into reading, and through the joy of reading, everything else happens, right?
Yeah.
We probably push this too fast and say, start reading. How will you read when it's not interesting? And there's a lot of stories. I'll connect with
Rajesh,
both of you.
I'm just going to.
Yeah, stopping it. I'm stopping. Yeah, I'll connect
Because
with you.
this is a monthly webinar, and I have been talking to Rajesh about the work he's done, and we hope to showcase a lot more people. So, like I said, this is going to be a monthly webinar, and we would like a lot of input from all of you in terms of potential people who have inspired you, who could come and talk to us, and also about what is spiritual intelligence from a sociological perspective and even a neuroscience perspective. So, so that we cover all the facets of this in a very practical way. So I am not someone who considers myself spiritual or something, but I think spiritual intelligence sounds like something which is very worth pursuing and looking at it. So thank you, and I handing over to Yamini for closing. Yamini?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Irina. Thank you, Varsha. That was such a great webinar. And thank you for joining us today and, sharing your stories. I am just going to, Sylvester, if you could share your screen. These are our upcoming webinars for, January. The first one is happening next week on the 22nd of January. And please note that unlike our other webinars, which happen on Wednesdays, this particular, the 23rd January webinar, this particular webinar is happening on a Thursday. So please note that minor change in our calendar. And the 22nd of January webinar is happening on the use of technology and artificial intelligence and coaching. And finally, the last webinar of this particular month is happening on the 29th of Jan, how to draw faces and your future. And I will be pasting some links on the chat box. And for any information about our programs, or if you have any feedback about our webinars, if you would like to add something, if you would like to share your message, you can reach out to us at support@kocharya.com. We would absolutely love to hear from any one of you. And do follow us on our LinkedIn page and tell us what you thought about this particular webinar. We would love to know your thoughts about this webinar. What you thought, what you're taking away from it. Do tell us that. And we would love to be hearing from you all. I will just paste the link on chat for our Kocharya page, and you can click on that and it will take you directly to our LinkedIn page.
So Yamini, just one more sentence.
Yeah.
This webinar on opening the inner eye is every third Wednesday, same time, 7:30 to 8:30. So if you're interested, please block that time, because we'll have the session every time on around the same time, third Wednesday of every month, 7:30 to 8:30, and we'll look for all for one for all, with a lot of inputs. And thanks a ton, Irina and Varsha, for amazing insights. I wish we could have had a longer session, but that cannot be. So good night, and thanks, Yamini.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, again. Thank you, Yamini. Pleasure to be here. Lovely to meet you, Varsha. You were so inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Have a great morning, evening.